I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think of the most awful question you could ask me. It's the most inappropriate thing you could ask.
Oh no. You know very well that I have a love-hate relationship with social media, which might be weird for some people coming from someone that works on social media.
I think I started my first YouTube channel when I was like maybe 8 or 9.
Insert clip of
There are no
YouTube.
clips, I made sure.
We're gonna find
We'll
them.
find it. I'll call your mum.
You'll call my mum.
Where do you go when you're making the biggest possible videos, social videos that have ever been created, and they're bigger and more ambitious, but the sort of creativity of it almost has to reach a limit, and then where does it go from there?
I asked you before, if you're drunk and you're on your wheelchair, does it count as drunk driving?
I want to know the answer.
Welcome back to the Purple Goat podcast. It's my first episode, guys.
10 out of 10.
You did great.
Well, hey.
Well, hey.
So today, we're freestyling a bit. Ready to freestyle?
Yeah.
I was going to start beatboxing.
We're in London. We're going down the street to a funky beat.
Oh,
And I'm gonna get a haircut.
Oh, I was about to say.
Freestyle means you can do whatever you want.
Oh, sick!
To you guys, our marketeers, our content crew, whatever you want to be called as your collective, you have been working together for how long now?
7 months?
Yeah, something like that.
That's how long I've been here.
I wanted to ask you, both some questions around how you find your relationship with social compared to pre-PG. You have now obviously, Amanda, been crafting our vlogs and blogs and everything else in between for, 7 months, as you say. How do you think you look at social differently compared to before you were working at PG?
I think before I was really a lot less aware of general kind of social media accessibility and even the small things that we can do to make it a better experience for everyone else. Like things like, everyone always says, yeah, captions on videos are great because some people listen on mute, but that's not the only reason. And they forget that there's like this whole other community that also want to engage and enjoy, but you're just like immediately isolating without doing things. I think that's been the main thing for me, is like really paying attention to different aspects of video and just general social content that can be made so much better and just a better experience for everyone else through doing like very simple things. I thought when I first got the job, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to learn so much, which I am, and I am learning so much, but there's very small things that make a very big difference. I think that would be the main takeaway that I've had so far in these 7 months.
Is the way that you're consuming content any different now that you're living and breathing it for work as well?
I worked before in social, so for me, I've always been in it. I grew up and social media was already a thing. YouTube came out when I was 2, so like it was always very much...
That makes me feel so old.
It was 2006, right? YouTube came out.
So.
And
You were
Facebook.
2?
Yeah, I was 2. I grew up and social was already very much a thing, and so the consumption of it was already very much a thing. I think I started my first YouTube channel when I was like maybe 8 or 9.
Insert clip of
There are no
YouTube.
clips, I made sure.
We're gonna find
We'll
them.
find it. I'll call your mum.
You'll call my mum. And I used to do little covers with my ukulele.
I just can't wait for this episode now.
I think I vlogged my last day of year 6 when I was 12, 11. So it was always very much a thing, and I think it was always part of like when the big YouTube surge happened in like 2014, when there were all these creators, everyone's just became so much more aware of wanting to create as well. So I think for me that's always been a part of the way I do and like consume, is thinking how can I then make. So I don't think there's been massively a difference. It's just that like now, instead of it always being that I'm always on social, I'm actually always on it as well for work and other things. So.
And you, Carmen, have you been a creator since birth?
I don't think so. Well, you make me feel old, but I'm not old.
Older.
Older.
There we go.
I think it's always been like, I've always had a blog, or I will take pictures and I will post that on Instagram and things like that. I think it's always been a creative outlet for me, but you know very well that I have a love-hate relationship with social media, which might be weird for some people coming from someone that works on social media, but I think especially when I started working here, I think I quickly realized how little time I actually want to spend on social media. Just because I know how it works, I know like the ins and outs, I found myself wanting to create less. So I had a period of time where I was like, I spend so much time on social media for work that I don't want to keep doing that like after 6 p.m. So there was a time when I was trying to navigate that, because at the same time it's trying to balance, you know, this makes me happy, it's like a nice creative outlet, but I have a creative job where I'm doing something similar. Yeah. So it's like, it's a really fine line, and I think it's just taken me a while to find a good balance and being like a bit more detached when I'm working. I know what works, I know what's going on. It doesn't mean that I want to do that for myself.
That's totally fair. I mean, a lot of people have it just, if you're doing something for work, you can't escape that suddenly feels like work. So when you're scrolling in the evening, you've done it all day, it's not going to feel the same as it did before you did that thing for work. And that's obviously a negative for some, and a lot of the time you're just, of course, having to just manage your own, even just like energy levels. Like scrolling on social, being on social can be draining if you're doing it too long. We can all feel that when we realise we're doom scrolling for 2 hours. You're like, wow, that actually is like taking some energy out of me. But if you're doing that for work and then doing it in your own time, it doesn't feel like therapeutic anymore. It probably feels a bit like work.
Yeah.
I guess because it's like there's that added pressure with it being for work, that whatever you're consuming, that you don't really get the same kind of dopamine hit.
Yeah.
It's just, you know that this is your work time, so you're in that zone and you're like, okay, I need to do something with what I'm doing. I need to do something with this scrolling. And so it becomes less of a switch off, but a switch on.
In terms of you guys and the things that you create, are there any like absolute no-nos that you just wouldn't want to make, wouldn't want to create, types of content, types of sort of posts that you're like, that's not for me?
Lots of them.
Pet peeves.
The thing is that by me saying what I'm about to say doesn't mean that people out there that do it, they're doing it wrong.
Just your
For sure.
preference.
Yeah, my preference. I wouldn't share very personal things on social media. I have a lot of respect for people that do lifestyle and vlog every single moment of their lives. I wouldn't be able to do it.
It's the vulnerability, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, when TikTok started the whole dancing and lip syncing to songs,
Yeah, fair.
no. There's probably more things, but do you have any that you can think of?
Two-part question. Did you have Musical.ly?
I did not.
Oh, shame.
You blatantly
Shame.
Did you?
I did have Musical.ly. It was TikTok before it was TikTok.
It was crazy, some of the transitions that people did
Right?
there.
Yeah. So you did have Musical.ly.
No, I didn't, but I know because
Yeah.
some of that was on TikTok when TikTok first became TikTok.
for sure.
And the whole like grabbing like your head and then okay. Insert the example
Insert
that
clips.
I'm saying.
No, I don't think there's very much apart from like dancing or lip syncing videos. I just don't think those are very me. I think extremely personal things, depending on like the area, I would be like no. But I'm a kind of person that I really connect with other people through talking. That's why I'm such a yapper, and I like making jokes and making other people laugh. So that's a way I really find that like helps connect and feel that connection. So I don't think there's very much that I'd be like completely opposed to. Maybe something extreme, but I don't know.
What about you, Tom?
Yeah.
The only thing that springs to mind is when you see prank videos that are so extreme.
You don't
that-
like pranks.
No, I like pranks, but ones where it's like a kidnapping.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
sure.
you're like,
Yeah.
you watch the clip, you're like, that person is going to remember that trauma for their whole life.
You
They're like bundled in a car with people with balaclavas, and you're like, that's insane that someone thinks it's okay to create that prank for their mate or even their partner. Some people do it for like a proposal and stuff. They get kidnapped before the proposal. You're like,
I'd say
what?
no.
Yeah, that's a no, isn't it? That's a straight no. I think that's the only thing that I watch and I'm like, oh no, like couldn't win. I mean, obviously personally, it's similar to you. It's like I spend less time on social because I do it for work, and that's just like preference. I know that I've got out a habit of posting. I think so much of social is like habitual, in the same way that like I used to spend so much time on Twitter 5-7 years ago, and you could almost like feel yourself thinking in like 140 character tweets, and then as soon as you stop, you're like, oh, I didn't miss that too much. It's just like about breaking the habit of it, and you think you're going to miss it, but you don't necessarily in that sense. So if you're thinking about things that you wouldn't create, but now things that you want to create, let's say you had limited budget, unlimited possibility, you obviously are in the custody of the PG socials. What do we make more of? What do we do? Whether like in 2024 or just generally?
I'm a big fan of experiential marketing, and I would love to do more of that, whether that's filming on the street or doing something outside and having the live reaction of people. I think that there's something just so good about that. I think now there's that push for originality when it comes to social media, and it's finding that like unique voice and unique type of thing that you can talk about that can make you stand out from other people, because now there's a lot of like the same.
Someone like Mr. Beast, who is, I just saw this morning that he's on the front of Time magazine, and he's the most viewed person on the planet.
Doesn't surprise
In like
me.
across all media, he's the most viewed person on the planet, and it is amazing. But then even like his content, not dissing his content of course, but like the originality of it has kind of plateaued in the sense where he is now kind of recycling certain ideas, because where do you go when you're making the biggest possible videos, social videos that have ever been created, and they're bigger and more ambitious, but the sort of creativity of it almost has to reach a limit, and then where does it go from there? And it's really interesting I honestly find like following how he's moving in the last couple of years, where literally like budget's no limit, he just can do whatever comes to his head. Seeing how he's like morphing and adapting is really interesting, because it feels like, how do you keep that creativity going? How do you push the boundary of what's new?
I think on that, there's that saying that goes, there's nothing new under the sun. And sometimes constraints can lead to a more creative solution. I think it's Dave Trott that says that creativity is nothing more than problem solving and finding a different solution to the unique problem that you've got. I think something I'd really like to do more of is definitely the in-person things. I think as we've been talking about, as we're so on social, we've almost become less social as people, and doing those things outside of the phone could be a really great different experience for a lot of people that I think would really help get our message and like all those things out there, with us being in that lived experience and having that, the authenticity. Even if we're saying the same story, people are going to have different perspectives, and the authenticity is going to come through the different way that you specifically tell that story. So I think that'd be cool. Defo do more on the street interviews. The Purple Gate was a fun one.
Go check it out.
Anywhere we should go, particularly?
Abroad.
Somewhere hot.
Somewhere hot.
Brazil.
Could we take the Purple Go somewhere
Yeah.
outside of London?
The only issue we'd have is that maybe we'd have to do what Alex once suggested and chop it up to take it anywhere. No. And that would be really awful and
That'd
cruel.
be really sad.
We will not be harming any goats.
Okay, then we won't be doing that.
But I mean, if we can find a way to take it, we'll have to be in a van, drive it to France.
Yes.
Take it.
Showing our Purple Goat around the world.
Purple Goat goes on tour, but we
Purple
should
Goat to Cannes.
Yeah, we should definitely go to Cannes. Take the big Purple
We'll
Goat.
see if anyone wants to send us and the Purple Goat to Cannes.
In a purple van.
In a purple van.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
What are your ambitions for what would be something that you really want us to create?
I think for me it's creating things that bring people into the social world that have certain like thoughts and ideas around not just social but disability and the kind of intersection between that. I think we're in such a unique place to craft quality content that tells stories in a way that people have never really done before, and that is what we are doing. That's literally what we're doing today. But I think that the opportunity to keep pushing the boundary of what education around disability is, and layering in, to your point, like doing things on the street, adding in comedy, and making people realise that disability is a nuanced, really dynamic kind of community is exciting. And I think making people comfortable around disability through nuanced storytelling, for me, is like ultimately what I think we're doing, and we're doing really well, and we'll continue to get better and better and better. So that's the thing that really excites me, I suppose. And yeah, like probably the bigger, flashier, higher production is all the stuff that like I also enjoy. Little social clip that goes viral can say 1,000 words, but also a really like crafted piece of content that has had a lot of TLC put into it is also really nice, and then you've got like a thing, and I can't escape that. That's the like TV background in me, that like you craft something and it's a thing, and you're like, oh, I really like the journey that's taken me on. So definitely like that stuff too. Next question. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think of the most awful question you could ask me. that you think is,
I cannot wait.
It is the most inappropriate thing you could ask.
Oh no.
And before you ask it, I first want to interrogate your brain and go, why does that feel wrong in your brain?
Okay.
So I'm asking the question before the question. What is it about that feeling? What is it about what makes you human that makes that a stressful thing, do you think?
I don't know. I think it's a very tough question to think about and to then ask your boss's boss.
So to kind of break it down a little bit, obviously we work with clients all day, every day, and a big part of my job is taking the fear out of engaging in and around disability. And ultimately, people are very polite, people don't want to cause offence, but if they don't have complete knowledge, they feel that kind of fear, they feel scared. It's fascinating, like, what happens if we take that kind of fear away, how much we can sort of achieve or learn or grow or become ultimately more inclusive. So I suppose, not that I would actually sort of make you ask a horrendous question, but you're absolutely more than welcome. It's like, it's almost that exercise of trying to work out what is it about that thing that has actually made it scary. Doesn't even almost relate to the question itself, but it's fascinating that people do have that like really human reaction of them being like, oh my god, I'm going to offend someone.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've got any like really horrendous questions that immediately come to mind. I think all of the ones I've asked you before have just been like really funny. Like I asked you before, if you're drunk and you're on your wheelchair, does it count as drunk driving? But it's just like I don't think
I want to know the answer.
No, you gave a really good answer to that actually, because
you'd be drunk and disorderly in the same way that if you were like stumbling around the street and knocking into things, you'd be drunk and disorderly. However, I have insurance on my chair. My anticipation is that my insurance wouldn't be covered if I accidentally ran over a ballerina's foot and I'd drunk too many Negronis. It probably wouldn't be covered. And considering my insurance on this is more than a car per year, to have that cover, you kind of want to make sure you're making the most of having it, really.
Just be like random things like that. I think the fear also comes from like just a place of the unknown. Like it's a very different experience. Like our two experiences, like not just gender wise and generationally, would be a different one, but then having like a physical disability would be a very different like life experience in going through those different stages and motions. So I think it comes from like, I actually don't know how my experience would relate to yours, even though like there are very human things that everyone kind of levels that everyone relates on. Before PG, I didn't have very much exposure to disability. My primary school was part of a special needs primary school, so we were like all integrated, but it wasn't like now it's like all around me and I notice it so much more, but it was a very distant part of my experience, so it was never something I clocked. And I remember like even the first social that I came to PG before my actual first day, when we went to Five Guys and the guy didn't know how to put the ramp up, I was like, oh, like this is like a real barrier, and it's something that it just never crossed my mind. And in a completely kind of like ignorant, just sort of, it was not something that I thought about.
And the people sometimes sort of feel, I don't know, embarrassed of that or ashamed of that, but like the reality is we are all ignorant to so much in life. Until you know something, you don't know something. And I think that if you could sum up one thing about our approach at Purple Goat to disability and inclusion, like, it's not to berate people if they don't know, but it's to just see how they respond once they know.
Yeah.
And I think that you can judge someone a lot more once they're informed in how they act from there, rather than judging them just because of ignorance, because we're all ignorant around various things.
For sure, it's that consciousness, isn't it? Because then at that point it becomes an active decision
Yeah.
and not something passive.
For you, Carmen, like, what are the things that you're, I suppose, like, scared to get wrong in your role? Like, what are the things that you're conscious of in that same capacity of, like, a human just trying to do things the right way? And are there things that you're constantly like, oh my God, I don't want to do that wrong?
I think I'm a lot more chill now.
Whatever.
I think
Just whatever.
I think when I started, I was probably a bit more conscious of what to say, how to say certain things, and I was asking you for your, personal opinion on things. I think now I've just figured it out. I think, obviously, I cannot speak for every disabled person out there, and I think that's something that we say very clearly on everything that we put out. Like, this is our opinion. We do not speak for everyone in the community. With anything on social media and online, you're gonna have people that don't like what you're saying. The disabled community is the biggest minority in the world. We're talking about millions and billions of people in the world. Not everyone's going to agree with your view on something, and that's fine. And I think it's just been me being comfortable with that and being okay with that. And obviously, you need to find that good balance of you're not going to make everyone upset or, say the wrong thing. But you have to be okay with some people disagreeing with what you're saying.
If you guys look to the future and the way that kind of AI is touching like more parts of our life, and obviously social and content creation and everything, I watched a video this morning of the new OpenAI video generator. Can't remember the name.
Was it from, what's his name, Marcus? No, what's his name?
Yeah, Marcus Brownlee.
Yeah.
And he showed some of the videos that they have on their website that's completely like AI generated video, but even commands like give it a filmic 35mm like cinematic look, but it's a woman walking through a Tokyo street, and it's like mind-bendingly amazing for what it is. Like, you can just about see that it's not real. It's so impressive. I suppose when you think about like that kind of technology coming forward, and then you also think about the kind of Apple Vision Pro kind of stuff, and the fact that we're going to be more immersed in content, we're going to have other ways to experience it. What are the things that you're like mindful of, excited about, wary of? Is it something that you guys have thought about much?
I think for me, with the new Apple Vision Pro, I think it's an exciting thing. I think not now, but I know what they're trying to go with, trying to replace phones and being able to do everything with that. I feel like it looks a bit futuristic, and I don't know how I feel about that yet. I've had VR glasses before, the headsets. I've not felt that comfortable with them, so I don't know. I've not tried the Apple one, so I don't know how that'll be. I think it's an interesting step forward with AI in terms of what you were talking about, like the videos and everything. I think sometimes it's scary how real it looks, especially from like an artist perspective. I'd be stressed thinking, am I going to have a job? Because, they can basically just create an image, they can create a video. So I think there has to be some type of regulations there, which I'm sure they're, figuring it out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Meta did a while ago those like AI generated profiles from celebrities on Instagram, and they had like Kendall Jenner, they had like different like famous people, and they created these like AI generated profiles that looked real but they weren't. I don't think they've been that popular after they launched. I'm still wrapping my head around all of it. It makes me feel uncomfortable sometimes.
Is this you trying to tell me I'm going to be out of a job soon?
Not quite yet.
No, I think it's definitely something to be like aware of, and I think there are things around it that can be actually really helpful and useful for the creative process. Even just like if you want to show the way you want to shoot something before, and you kind of want to visualize it already, you can kind of have that created, but I think there's just something so unique and like
Human.
about having that human connection that you can't get through something that wasn't generated with the human element inside it. I think the way I see it is like you can tell when it's been stock footage taken to make a video instead of it being like a real shot. If there's just certain things, I just think you can tell when it's not quite there, and I think it'll be that element that keeps.
It's usually the hands.
Yeah.
Hands are so hard and they always mess it up.
So it's one of those things that I just think, yeah, it'll be very difficult to translate the human emotion of that. Some other things make me uncomfortable in terms of like security. So like there have been a couple of stories where people have used like AI generated voices of a personal family members, or even like photos from their socials to then call other family members saying that they've been kidnapped, need to send money, etc.
Yeah.
Those are the things that like, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a problem. I don't think it will replace the human element of it. I think also the fact that we have very creative brains in figuring these things out. But yeah, it is uncomfortable.
There's one very like big positive that we can do loads of goat videos without having to actually get goats.
This is very true.
So we can do all sorts of lovely goat videos and they'll be all over our content.
If you suddenly start seeing a surge of goats and vlogs,
I'm putting them in.
it was
It's going to be
awful.
like Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Easter
Try to
goats.
find the
A goat
goats.
in every video. That'd be
Try
nice.
and find the goat. That'll be the Easter egg.
Yeah.
You have to try and find a goat in every frame. See how many goats there are at the end.
And then you win something.
You win the bragging rights.
You win a goat.
You win an
Not a
AI
real
generated goat.
You win a sponsor a goat from
yeah.
Buttercups.
That'd be nice.
That'd be lovely.
That'd be oh, guys.
Aw.
Is there anything that you two would like to cover off before we finish today? Landscape or portrait?
Portrait always.
Depending, I'd say portrait.
For photos,
But
portraits.
if you're sending us a video, a portrait video for a YouTube video, get out
Get out.
immediately.
Time lapse or slow mo?
Time lapse.
I'd say from a video editing perspective, slow-mo, because you can always speed something up, but you can't always slow it down and make it look the same.
What's been your favourite moment on social media recently?
I'm literally so sad. It was when Lewis Hamilton said that he's joining Ferrari,
Of course.
and like my whole feed, because I'm such a nerd, is just Formula One stuff. I was just scrolling, and it was every single person was just talking about it, and I thought that was quite a power play from him to move to Ferrari. But the fact that it like commanded so much social noise, I was like, it just made me introspectively realise what a nerd I am. That's probably
Yeah, I
my,
have no idea about.
yeah, but you probably didn't even know that was a thing. And
I
Andy?
knew it happened
Yeah.
because I saw lots
On
of
social?
people, re-sharing it on stories,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh,
Ooh.
I didn't even know where he was before.
I think recently I've been really enjoying the Usher and Alicia Keys and the whole Super Bowl memes, and on TikTok everyone trying to predict what his halftime show was going to look like.
I was expecting Justin Bieber there.
Me too. I was actually quite disappointed, but her 10 out of 10.
And you, Carmen?
Well, I've already told you guys that Sunday I'm wearing the Robert suit from Thierry Mugler for the Dune 2 premiere in London. It's a very niche thing.
Insert image
Insert
now.
a picture here. Beautiful. What a gorgeous woman. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Is that for you?
We end on Carmen's crush.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Purple Goat podcast, chatting all things content, social, and AI. We hope to see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love that.